love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, Jago, health and lifestyle coach and not-so-regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. All right, y'all. I have something super duper crazy exciting to share with you. I've been so excited to tell you about this that I feel like I'm about to poop my pants. I am hosting a Go Confident webinar. I'm going to be live, being able to get in there and talk with you all about how to cultivate confidence through the right routines and rituals that you can actually stick with. I'm so excited. I want you to join. It's going to be on Wednesday, February 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have to register to get in there. And if you register now, you're going to get access to my free Cultivating Confident journal prompts. So go ahead and click the link in my show notes and I'll see you there. So this time of year, a lot of you have been coming to me and sharing your personal goals for the year. You've been sharing your fitness goals and you've been also sharing your struggles and just the struggle to really embrace who you are, love everything about you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I decided to do a whole episode on the truth behind loving your body because sometimes I think that when people talk about self-love or loving yourself or hashtag self-care or whatever it is, they tend to just show the sparkly, fun, pretty side of it when a lot of times there are going to be days that you wake up and you're not feeling great in your skin. Even though you may have come so far with loving your body and accepting yourself and really learning to embrace who you are, there will still be days when you wake up and look in the mirror and start to tear yourself up again. Those thoughts start to creep in. So I really want to help you not be so hard on yourself because I know it's hard to love yourself every single day. You're awesome. You know it deep down, but we got to remind ourselves. So the truth is, it's hard to love yourself, especially when you're not perfectly posed with that perfect lighting and those great angles. That's not always going to be the case. So yes, you might be feeling yourself one day, and the next day you might be like, what? Is that me? You're scrolling on your feed and someone tagged you in a photo and you're like, oh my God. Your stomach just sinks, your heart just sinks into your stomach and you're like, OMG. Is that me? Is that really me? And then we start to break down every little flaw we feel like we see, and we start to feel so upset to the point I'm almost calling the person and saying, untag me from that, just because that overwhelming self-consciousness seeps back in and tries to take over. And I'm not saying that that's crazy or that means that you are falling backwards behind all your progress you've made. You're not. It is normal to feel this way, but I want to help take those feelings and shift them in a direction that's going to be more positive and uplifting instead of feeling like it's tearing you down even more. So I hope this helps today as we're going through everything. I know that feeling. It just happens, especially with stupid timeline photos. Sometimes they bring up and you're like, wait, that was so long ago. And then you start judging yourself. Just stop that. You don't need to do that. So the reminder is that self-love is not constant. You have to work at it every single day and giving yourself grace when those feelings do come back up. Don't put yourself down because you're having those feelings. So I'm here today to talk to you about how to love all versions of you, even the not posed, prim and proper version, the hashtag I woke up like this real deal version, that not everyone sees all the time. And still love it when you see in the mirror. So I'm going to talk to you about how I got to that point in my life and hopefully give you some great takeaways for you to start implementing into your life. We're crazy. It's true. We're not always going to know why we can wake up one morning and feel so good in our skin, feel like I am feeling myself, going to take some selfies, whatever, and then wake up the next morning and feel like complete doo-doo. Just feel like nothing fits right, nothing looks right, I don't like this, blah, 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 I want to stay home, and maybe you can't because you have to go to work or whatever. How do you address this situation? So what I want to tell you is that, and first just acknowledging that you're feeling this way instead of trying to just ignore it or change things, like just stop and acknowledge it. And don't get angry, okay? So instead of getting like angry and then immediately feeling guilty and like beating yourself up for like, oh, how dare I have a bad self-image day? I'm supposed to be all about self-love, or I'm supposed to love myself all the time. And like, again, like that's basically like double guilt because you're already feeling bad that day. And then you're feeling guilty about feeling bad. Like that's just twisted and you don't need that in your life. So instead of that, just stop and focus on accepting that like, all right, today is like that day. Let's kind of focus on that so that we can release it and move on. And once you recognize that, the next step is to ask yourself, well, what do I love about myself? Like I might not be feeling like how I'm looking right now or whatever. Like what are some things that I love about me? And I've talked about this before. I'll tell you again, like if you're struggling with that, like put it out there, like things like characteristics, things you know that you're worthy, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're smart as hell. Like remind yourself of those true characteristics that make up you. And if you're really struggling with the physical side of self-love that day, it's okay to shift and focus on the things that aren't physical that are amazing about you, because there are so many things that are great about you that are not necessarily based on your looks. So if that needs to be the focus for the day, that's okay. Because honestly, the biggest accomplishment in body positivity is to be able to come to a point in your life where you can release the weight that the physical weight has on your mindset about yourself. So when you're able to see the number on the scale and not feel like your self-worth is connected to it, when you're able to feel like, all right, I'm waking up a little bloated today, and yet not feeling like that makes you less worthy of love than the day before, that is true accomplishment around body positivity. And so working towards that is so important. So here's the real truth behind body positivity. Body positivity is not about loving your body, but recognizing I am more than this physical body. I am more than my physical appearance. And once you recognize that the soul inside of that body, the soul inside of the skin and bones is what really makes you you, that is the most powerful and most freeing feeling ever. It will change you to, instead of feeling like you're constantly up and down, how you feel about yourself, you release attachment to the physical body that you're in and start to really put stock in who you are on the inside. And it sounds corny as hell, but it's not. It's true, because you're going to feel a lot more stable day to day because you're not focused on whether you're more or less bloated. You're not focused on whether the scale did or didn't go up. You're not focused on whether your clothes are fitting you differently. You're really focused on, am I continuing to show up and be the highest version of me? Am I exactly who I want to be on the inside, even if the outside looks a little different today? Even if I'm looking a little bit of a hot mess on the outside, am I still grounded on the inside with who I am? And that is what really matters. And that is what will outlive physical appearance. I mean, think about it. Your physical appearance is going to change. You're going to get older. You're going to get more stress wrinkles. You might get some gray hair. You might have your body change in physical form. It will. It's going to happen. And the less you put value and self-worth in that physical body that you're in, the more time and freedom and space you can have and allow yourself to focus on the person on the inside. We spend so much time and effort on the outside. Listen, first I want to preface that there's nothing wrong with taking care of the outside appearance. I feel better if I am struggling. Sometimes I do feel better when I do a couple more things for my physical appearance. That's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But that is not the be all end all. So if you feel like you're getting very caught up in that side of things and you feel stuck, maybe try and focus on some self-care and self-love that doesn't have to do with your appearance and see how that feels. So that might mean that you need to go see a counselor. It might mean that you need to give yourself some more sleep. It might mean that you need some social interaction with some people, or need some deeper connection and community, maybe some intimacy, something that is beyond just physical changes, and that can really make a difference and be so freeing. So I hope that that's helpful when it comes to the truth behind loving your body. It goes beyond the body. All right. So let's recap. We talked about the truth behind body positivity and loving your body, that it's not going to be something that is every single day perfect, feel really good. So if that's the case, what should you do when you aren't feeling that great? So I'm going to tell you what works for me, and I would love to hear what works for you when you're feeling meh, when you wake up and you're like, not loving it, or if you catch yourself looking at a picture and tearing yourself apart, or just any of those like flags that come up like, oh, I'm feeling that again. I'm comparing myself, or I'm feeling that again. Like I'm picking myself apart in the mirror. Like, what mindset shifts do you make in order to continue to focus on what really matters? Right. And it's not appearance. So here's what I do. So if I wake up and I'm feeling meh, so like we've talked about this, like sometimes the season and the weather can affect my mood. Sometimes, our hormones can affect our mood. Like, literally, there are so many reasons that we can feel this way that are either inside or outside of us. And when I wake up and feel meh, the first thing I do is I check myself, and I do my self-need, like basic need checklist. Like, okay, Jordan, like, yes, sometimes I talk to myself in third person. I'm not crazy. Elmo does it, and he was on Sesame Street, so he probably wasn't crazy, right? But I'll be like, all right, Jordan, so why are you feeling this way? Let's check our basic needs. Did we get enough sleep? Most likely, if I'm waking up feeling that way, it's probably no. How about my nourishment? In the past 24 hours, how have I been nourishing my body? Have I been eating like doo-doo, or have I been eating really good, fresh, whole foods that are beautiful rainbow colors, all the greens, everything? Typically, if my mood is off, I've been eating a little bit off as well. The next question I ask, that's sleep, nourishment. The next one is water. Are you hydrated, or are you a little dehydrated right now? So I will definitely always start off with like some more water in the morning. That helps a lot. And then movement and meditation are two big ones too. So if I'm feeling like a little bit anxious, or I'm not feeling good in my skin, or whatever that is, I will, like I talked about acknowledging it, and you can do that in a lot of different ways, but I will literally write it down and be like, today I feel like crap, or today I'm worried about this, or I'm feeling anxious about this, or like I woke up and felt this way, or whatever it is. Mine's more on an emotional side of things these days more than my physical appearance, but you can have that feeling, and the way I acknowledge is that I speak it out, and that really helps me to identify it first, and then I go into meditation after writing down things I'm grateful for, which I've talked to you guys about gratitude, but I will literally just meditate on focusing on my highest self. And so if you don't have the app Headspace, you can try that. There's a lot of different apps people have talked about when I've interviewed them on here, but getting in a nice meditation, even just for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, you could start with that and then slowly increase the amount of time, will really help you. Because again, that focuses your mind on like the inside and brings everything back in instead of the outside. Because a lot of times what's making us feel less than and negative is that we're comparing to the outside, right? We're comparing to other people, we're comparing to a picture we saw, we're comparing to something in our environment. So like being able to meditate and bring it back in makes a huge difference. And then finally, my final basic need check is movement. Have I been sitting like a slug under a rug the past couple days? Or am I getting plenty of movement? I'm hitting all my steps for the day. And typically, if I'm feeling like meh and just not feeling really great, it's because I haven't been moving as much. I've been a little bit down. I'm not moving. So getting up and moving is a huge step towards just like feeling better in your skin. So it doesn't mean you need to go and put on this amazing outfit. Like if you're not feeling great in your skin and you kind of want to just do your own thing and be a little isolated, there's nothing wrong with that. I would recommend that you tell someone you're feeling that way and just like, hey, I kind of need some me time, but I want to let you know where my head's at. That's like a good start. But that doesn't mean you can't go for a walk or take your dog out or borrow someone else's dog and walk them, or just walk by yourself. Ask a friend to go for a walk. That movement is a really great way to relieve you from that physical anxiety you might be feeling. It gets you out of your head if you're stuck looking at like your body. Like you just feel better when you get some physical movement, and it doesn't have to be. I find that when I'm feeling that way, usually going in nature really helps, and the gym later on. But like originally, like I need to initially get out in nature, and that is like going on a walk, going on a hike, something like that. So those basic needs are like my first checkpoints. So whenever I'm feeling that way and I'm starting to revert back to previous mindset around my body, around my self-worth, self-image, whatever that is, I check myself. How's my sleep? How's my nourishment been? What about my water, hydration, movement as well? Have I been moving, or am I slug under a rug? I don't know why I came up with that. Sorry. Meditation is the final one. So those 5 things are super crucial to feeling good in your skin and really getting back into that loving yourself in all states of you. And the next thing is to check your environment. So look around when you're feeling this way. If you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling like nothing fits, do you have a ton of piles of clothes and crazy stuff going on? Is your car a mess? Is your kitchen a mess? Like, is there just so much clutter going on in your life? That is an outward expression of the stuff that's going on the inside. So truly, when you're struggling to love what you see in the mirror, it's really that we're struggling with some of the things that are going on inside. And that is really what we need to focus on first before we're like getting back onto the physical, like self-love side of things on the outward, like body self-love when you think about that. So my thoughts about your environment are declutter. This one's huge for me. So declutter your house, declutter your head, and declutter your schedule. So let me break those down even further. So environment, so decluttering your house, obviously like taking some time to clean up some stuff. I talked about this in one of my posts, but if you are someone who gets overwhelmed by like a ton of like messiness and you're like, this is overwhelming, I don't know where to start, instead of feeling like you have to go on this cleaning rampage and like Marie Kondo all your stuff, just start with one corner of your bedroom and say, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes and play my favorite 3 songs and get as much of this cleaned as I can. Or start with just making your bed. Start with just cleaning like the dishes out of the sink or whatever. Like just start small so then you're not overwhelmed and you start to just feel a little bit relief just from that little bit. I think that's huge. When I'm talking about decluttering your head, if you are stuck in your own thoughts and you're getting into that negative self-talk, so this is when you're waking up having not great body image day, you're stuck in your head, right? A lot of times those insecurities come out, the comparison comes out, the negativity comes out, the breaking yourself down, all of that starts to come out again and creep out. So that's when we need to declutter our heads. So ask yourself, okay, have I been consuming more than I've been creating or doing things? So have I been on my phone a lot more? Have I been scrolling a lot more? Have I been sitting and watching TV? Like there's a lot of ways that we can consume things and we don't realize that that's impacting our own self-image, even if it's just subconsciously. So taking a little break and a little detox from all of that can be very powerful for your own sanity as well as for your own self-image. So if you are, that's a really good way to get out of your head and take a break. And so giving that little breather is awesome. And maybe go out and, again, you don't have to do this alone. Tell someone that you're like, hey, I'm feeling this way. And that can be a really good way to kind of get it all out. And then finally, declutter your schedule. This one's huge. So it is very easy. My people pleasers out there, that's me. I'm a recovering people pleaser. You've heard it before. A lot of times we are getting overwhelmed and we're struggling and we're not feeling good because we've been go all the time. We've been having to get ready for these events. We've been having to dress up and do this. We've been around a lot of people when like we've been saying yes and spreading ourselves super duper thin, and it's making us really like struggle. And so maybe we need to declutter our schedule a little bit, right? So maybe we need to say no to something this weekend. Maybe we need to say no to some obligation that we have actually said yes to. And the truth is, no is a complete sentence, period. Repeat that. No is a complete sentence. You do not need to justify your reason for needing to declutter your schedule, okay? If you mentally are going to do better by taking some things off your plate, do it, okay? Do not feel guilty. Do not feel bad. Just do it. I promise you'll feel better, and I promise you if those people that you're saying no to understand you and know you and love you unconditionally, then it's not going to matter, okay? If you feel the need to explain, that's fine, but you do not have to explain yourself with that. So that's definitely a huge thing when it comes to all that. And then finally, let's talk about this. This is a thing I do. Okay, I'm having a for you guys self-image day, or not feeling good in your skin, or just like struggling a little bit. Plan a date night. And guess what? That date night can be solo, it can be with a partner, it can be with friends. It depends on what your needs are, okay? Sometimes your date night needs to be solo and you need to spend some time with just you. Sometimes you've been craving that connection and you need to reconnect with that partner or that group of friends or that community, and that is a form of self-care as well. And I don't want you to feel like this is where I talked about the hashtag body positivity, like put on makeup, put on your favorite outfit, blah, blah, blah. Like some days that shit doesn't work. Okay. Some days you are feeling so bad in your skin and struggling so hard with what you see in the mirror that those little tips and tricks, as much as I love them, as much as I talk about them, they still don't work. And the thing is, I need you to release the pressure of that having to be the solution right then and there. It's okay to acknowledge where you're at and just accept, like, hey, I'm feeling this way today, but I'm not stuck here. It's not permanent. And that is why I want you to plan a date night or something like that that's fun in the future. So whether it's in a day or tomorrow or just in a couple days, having something out there is good, because then you know, like, I'm going to be doing something that's going to make me feel fly as heck, and like I'm going to get to dress up and wear a cute outfit, whatever, and that's awesome. But sometimes we can't force it if we're just not feeling it in that moment and in that day. And I want you to know that that's okay. All right. It's okay if you're like, I don't want to smile right now. Like you're telling me that the solution is to smile at myself in the mirror. And that is the last thing I feel like doing. I feel like crying right now. And that's okay. It's okay to feel these emotions. It's okay if some days you wake up and you're struggling to love what you see in the mirror. I know what that feels like. And reminding yourself that what I see in the mirror is not all that is me. That does not fully encompass who I am. And I might be feeling this way, but I am not stuck here. And that shift, just that small shift, just saying that to yourself and reminding yourself, takes the pressure off of you feeling like you have to be on all the time. You have to love yourself constantly. You have to do this. You don't have to do anything. You just have to learn that accepting who you are is what's going to take the weight off, physically, mentally, emotionally. And that is what you need to start with. So I hope this was helpful. This is all things that I do. I mean, this is all personal, real stuff. So I just want you to know that even people who are talking about all these changes and all this stuff, you might see people on social media, you might see all of these things, and like, don't assume that just means that they don't have hard stuff that they're working through too. Don't assume that everyone's life is perfect. So when you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel, remind yourself that shit ain't real. That is not the full story. You are seeing just the surface of someone's life, and there can always be other stuff going on. So if you're still in that comparison mode, remind yourself that. And if you're in the comparison of comparing your previous self, so if a timeline photo comes up and you're like, oh man, like I used to look so much different, or blah, 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 and like you're getting in your own head like that, remind yourself that it's okay. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to develop. I'm allowed to change my mind about stuff. I'm allowed to feel differently every day. So don't assume that if one day you're feeling yourself and the next day you're not, that you're wrong and that you've messed up and now you're backsliding into where you were before. It's still progress, even if on days when you're not feeling great, if you keep getting through that day and pushing yourself, that can be just as big of an accomplishment. Okay? So every day is going to look different. And you're freaking awesome. You're so awesome. Remind yourself that, and remind other people that, especially other women. Like, I want all of you to get so freaking good at accepting and giving compliments. Real ones, real compliments, not necessarily just physical ones. So the next time, like, I want you to go out and compliment someone now. Go ahead and do it. You can text them. You can tell your best friend how much they mean to you. You can see someone at work and tell them that something great about them. But then also, the next time you receive a compliment, instead of flipping it and like putting yourself down, receive it with open arms and say thank you. Don't even feel like you have to compliment right back. take the compliment, okay? And the next time you're feeling like you are struggling with what you're seeing, it's okay. This is not permanent, and you are so much more than that physical body. So I am so thankful for you being here, and I'm so thankful that you are working to better yourself right now. And remember, it is not an all or nothing approach. Nothing needs to be perfect. It just needs to be real lifestyle change. So that's what I teach my clients, and that's what I want to teach you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here and honestly don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at JGoFitLife. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.